Every July, I camp with my immediate family in the foothills of southeast Ohio. We are a fairly active family who loves the outdoors and the bewilderment of nature. Surprisingly, the region is beautifully filled with recessed caves and scenic gorges. The low, thunderous sound of waterfalls heard deep within the gorge crevices, highlighted by a burst of water bubbles rippling off rocks. The densest of deciduous forests are located here, entering as a gateway to the Appalachians. Ghoulish wind is ever present among the thicket. This particular event took place back in the year 2008. Brood 14 of the cicada season was in full effect, and the never-ending rugged screech produced by thousands of cicadas filled the air. Example of one cicada. 7:15 p.m. We endured the 5-hour car ride and arrived with 2 hours of sunlight left. The pop-up trailer was quick to assemble, only expending 15 minutes, and afterward I asked my mom if I had permission to walk to the fishing dam. Being 12 at the time, my parents put a great deal of trust in my environmental awareness. The previous year I had saved my sister from drowning in our pool. Here is an actual map of our campground. The names and locations are crossed out for privacy reasons. The dotted line around the lake is a human-created path, 3 miles. The dotted arrow is our campsite. The lake is artificial with a naturalized dam on its southwest end, the straight line. There is a shower house along the main camp road, directly west of our campsite. To me, fishing has always come second nature. The simple rhythm of casting and reeling an artificial lure creates a meditative state, and as a result I become acute of my present surroundings. I gathered a headlamp, my tackle, and oddly walked along the road in tandem with the cicada's screech. The whining shrill stitched through the darkening forest. It drowned out the usual faint whispers of families at their campfires. 7:30 p.m. I reached the lake and noticed a small pink children's backpack leaning against the trailhead. My only thought was that someone must have forgotten their makeshift rucksack. Here's a picture of the trailhead on the dam. The photo is the actual trailhead, just at a different time of year. I did not have a camera nor a cell phone at the time I went. Again, name and locations crossed out for privacy. Unexpectedly, no person was fishing along the quarter-mile-long dam. Past years produced several fishermen, so their absence struck me as out of place. This lake was known for its Largian channel cat population. 7:45 p.m. I pushed through the heavy bush as the tree line practically poured into the lake's bank. I walked halfway alongside to the left of the lake. My topwater hula popper rippled the surface, luring any stagnant bass to strike. No luck. I ground on. 8:55 p.m. The sunset was beginning and the cicadas dramatically calmed to a screech every 5 to 10 seconds. The sudden sound of branches breaking and leaves crunching came from behind me. I quickly spun around, dreading a black bear had sniffed me out. The approaching sound halted. A flock of birds scaredly flew from the trees above. Cicadas became silent. I was frozen. Moving quickly in the presence of an unseen bear could motivate an unwarranted attack. The loudest disturbance came directly from my left. I first rotated my eyes, keeping my head completely still. I could not see what caused the sound, so I slowly turned my head to the left. My vision was obscured by the gaining absence of light. I squinted and sighed when a female deer, not 6 feet away from me, walked into the remaining light. My muscles loosened, and the moment I wriggled free of my frozen state, the deer ran off. 9:10 p.m. I had been fishing for a while now, and I started to feel fatigued from the heat. I packed up my rucksack and walked back to the trailhead. The pink backpack was gone. The owner must have come back and found it, I pondered. Strange, however, because there was very little sign of human activity. I could not find any human footprints leading up to the backpack from the trail that I had come in from. There was no sign that anyone had been hiking or fishing at the dam for the previous hour and a half. I took my headlamp out and put it on. The single beam of light was hardly enough to see 10 feet in front of me. Just the fish jumping out of the water, I thought to myself. I focused the beam on the path leading down the dam and scanned across the water. "Shit," I blurted out. 15 feet from me, a man dressed in wading johns and a black hoodie was water walking towards me. His eyes lit yellow as the beam pierced him. The pink backpack on his back was open and spewing unknown contents into the water. He froze, adjusting his vision, and stood within 3 feet of water staring and grinning at me. The sound of the leaves crunching came once again, from behind me. Not one man, but two. Paralyzing fear began to creep into my body. Sweat was starting to drench my skin. The back of my eyes started throbbing, the small screams of dread ringing in my ears, and the thumping of my heart cracking the shell of my chest. We both stood in absolute silence before he interjected.
"Nice night for lining, yeah?"
Lining means fishing. I didn't respond, as anyone nighttime fishing would have had a rod and some kind of light source. The sneer on his face began to turn into a crazed smile. He waded 2 more steps towards me and now was within a foot of water. My light flickered off. Why right now, damn it? I fumbled in my bag for the extra batteries. The light from the moon was my only assurance of the waiting man's position. I dropped my bag and rod as the shadowy figure was now running up the trail and was within 10 feet of me. Behind me, the final crunching of leaves became my motivation for survival. I ran down the left side of the lake. The two of them reacted to my sudden dash and the distinct sound of 4 feet closed in from behind me. I knew I had the advantage as I had been down that trail hundreds of times, and I was fairly short at 5'1". I ran for 15 minutes straight, the sound of running footsteps diminishing as I outmaneuvered them. 9:40 p.m. I reach the cul-de-sac and sprint to our site. My mother is patiently waiting for me as I promised to be back 10 minutes earlier. I look behind me and the men are nowhere to be seen. The next morning, I wake up to the scream of my mother at the pop-up door. There, sitting next to the steps into the trailer, is the pink backpack. The pack was covered on the outside with blood, a strong scent of decay and rotting flesh emanating inside the trailer. My father calls the park's rangers and later we are told that a decapitated doe head was found inside the bag. They suspect that I had stumbled onto some kind of poaching scheme. We left the campground that day. We were only there for a single night out of our planned vacation week. We have not been back since. The following encounter happened to me this week. I'm a male in my mid-30s and English is not my first language. I remember feeling sick to my stomach while tears streamed down my cheeks into my beard. I was sitting in my car on the side of the highway around midnight in between 2 major cities in Europe. Maybe less than an hour earlier, I had fought bitterly with my girlfriend. We both got mad at each other. She got passive-aggressive and I began to yell at her. I couldn't stand to be with her that evening, so I got my keys, slammed the door, and off I drove to my apartment in another city, which is also my city of birth. I had to take a break during my drive home. The episode with my girlfriend woke emotions that were too great for me to ignore, so I sat there on the highway with my blinking light and no engine turned on. It was silent around me, except the occasional truck passing by and the constant clicking of the blinking light. My body was tight and in my mind I ran through the escapade again and again. I hate when that happens, so I decided to continue driving, as the heavy flow of tears had stopped. I turned the key, but I couldn't turn it all the way. I was making a face, surprised that I couldn't turn the key all the way to start the engine. I retried. Nothing. The key was stuck again in the same position. I was stubborn and tried several more times, and failed. Damn it! Thoughts of staying the night on the highway rushed to the forefront of my thoughts. Why? Because I foolishly forgot to grab my cell phone as I was storming out of the apartment, while still yelling at my girlfriend. Now I have no means to contact the emergency service of the roadside assistance. Now the clicking of the blinking light was like a constant blow with a sledgehammer to my head. I shut it off. and I realized for the first time how dark it was around me. Trucks passed by me within the following minutes, but I did not want to step out of my car and wave one of the drivers over. I did not trust them. Don't ask me why. I always hate when people freeze in the midst of a situation that requires action, so I stepped out of my car. It was slightly raining. Obviously, I knew where I was, since I regularly drive on that highway back and forth, and I knew that 2 kilometers ahead was a highway exit, so I figured I'd walk on the side of the highway up to that exit. There is a gas station, and I hoped the place would still be open, even shortly after midnight. I closed my car and began walking on the other side of the guardrail away from the road. So the road was on my left, and trees were on my right, illuminated by the moonlight. I confess, I was scared. Very much. I had no particular reason to be afraid, but my mind turned the shadows from the trees into men hiding there, watching me with intense-looking eyes and hands ready to grab me. After 15 minutes or so, I began to move up a small hill and the rain turned to snow. It was snowing for a while there, because the earth and the trees were already covered in white. After yet another while, I saw the exit in the distance. I reached it faster than I thought I would. I miscalculated the distance, but that was all right. I was happy to be close to light, people, and a phone I could use. Right before the exit, there was a bridge that went over the highway. When I was about to pass under the bridge, I saw a person jogging on it. I stopped and looked up in surprise. I only made out a silhouette, yet I clearly saw a woman, ponytail, small and athletic build, crossing the bridge. What woman would want to jog around midnight on a road close to a highway with a wooded area on both sides of the bridge? A few seconds later, she was gone. I looked to see if I could make her out within the darkness, but I couldn't. Still weirded out, I continued walking and passed under the bridge. A couple of meters further down the highway, I took the exit. Now, in order to take the exit by foot, I had to go over the guardrail, because there were thick bushes too close to the side of it that I was on. So basically, I was walking on the road down the exit to the gas station. On the right side of me, behind the bushes, there was a trail. If you decided to walk up that trail, you'd arrive back at the bridge I mentioned. So I was walking down the exit road slowly, because it was slippery, but also with a steady pace, because I did not want to get hit by a passing car. And then it happened. Someone jumped on me from behind and pushed me face first in the ground in the middle of the road. I screamed in sudden terror and turned around, ignoring the pain in my chin and right ear. The person was already on their feet again. I screamed again in shock and surprise. It was a woman in her mid-20s wearing jogging attire. It was the same person I saw minutes earlier on the bridge. She shrieked with wide eyes and saliva dripping out of her mouth, and she charged at me again. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my left eye. The woman scratched over my eyes and poked her fingers deep into my left eyeball. I stumbled backwards, and when she was running at me again, I threw her against the guardrail, back first. The sound of the impact was cringeworthy, but I just realized that as a side thought. I broke down in the middle of the road, clutching my left eye. Moments passed and I wasn't attacked again. Against all the pain in my eye, I looked up again through tears and saw the woman heading back up the trail towards the bridge, fast. Adrenaline shot through my body. The pain felt numb as I rushed down the exit road, falling on my rear end several times during the process. I was panicking like an animal. I just wanted to escape that place. I reached the gas station, basically jumping against the door to throw it open. The guy behind the counter was shocked to see me. I was bleeding a bit and my eye was swollen shut at that point. To make a long story short, the guy called the police and an ambulance. The officers searched the area but found nobody. I'm at home now in the apartment that I inhabit alone, and I'm still terrified. I can't comprehend why that woman attacked me, but I know for certain that she went for a run in the middle of the night just to find a victim like me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Well, I would appreciate that at least, very much so. And if you would like to help support the channel, make sure you check out the sponsor button that should be down by the subscribe button. It's another little feature that YouTube's testing out right now, and I'm one of the beta testers. It essentially gives you a badge to the channel. We tried to do a live stream yesterday, but my internet is literally getting about 2 megabytes per second upload speed. Today it has about 0.64 when I ran a test. Yeah. So I gotta call and fix that. But you will have streams that come out when my internet's working, you know what I mean? We're gonna have emotes as well. So I know some people don't know what emotes are, but emotes are like the poop emote, when people can put a pile of poop when they're chatting via text. That's an emote, the little picture things, yeah. But we'll be having some cool one of those, and we're actually gonna design one together when I get the stream going, you know what I mean? And if you have a scary story that you would like to submit, make sure you email it to yourmaker6260@gmail.com. I want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I really appreciate you checking out this video and showing continued support to the channel. Assuming you're not new, and if you're new, you better continue to support. I will catch you all in the next video, and stay safe out there. Bye.